Hey, what's up? I'm Kira and I'm a burn victim. I wanted to make this video for a while, but I never got around to it. But we're in self-isolation now, so no better time. I wanted to make this video because when I got burned, I was looking up and trying to find other burn victims that were sharing their story or talking about their experience. I needed someone to relate to. I needed to know that someone went through what I was going through and that I'd be okay. Because, you know, third-degree burns can be the most isolating, scary, lonely thing to go through. You can have the most amazing support system around you, like I did, but you know that no matter how much everyone's there for you, they don't know what you're going through. They can't even imagine what you're actually going through. And that's what makes it so scary and lonely. So I wanted to make this video really for anyone that may be experiencing that now. I could have used something like this when it happened to me. There wasn't much out there. There was a few like blogs that some people had posted, but like that was it really. There was nothing. And now when I kind of did a bit of research before this video, there seems to be a little bit more out there now for people to kind of look at, and it's good. Like there's a few blogs I saw and people, you know, talking to each other, and it's really like all people needed was to feel understood. And like people saying like it's so nice to talk to someone who gets it, because no one really in your life gets it. So I just decided to come on and share my story, and I'll do another video talking about any tips or advice I have for getting through that insanely difficult time. Okay, so let's jump into my story, and I'm going to go through it as quick as I can. If anyone wants more detail on anything, I'll be happy to elaborate. Basically, 4.5 years ago, I got third-degree burns from a steamer. I was stripping wallpaper. I fainted off the ladder. The steamer hit the ground and I landed on top of it. To this day, we're not really sure how long it was underneath me for. Like 3 or 4 minutes is what we're guessing. Well, the doctors kind of guessed based on how much damage I did, which was basically I couldn't have killed anything else. I killed every layer of skin, every nerve, everything. So yeah, I went to the doctor. They were like, yep, A&E. Went to A&E. And then I didn't even wait. I went straight in. If I saw one doctor, I saw a million. Everybody was just blown away by how bad this burn was, which looked like this. Yeah, so they kept coming in saying, oh, I just want to get someone else to see this. I was like, okay. They'd keep coming in and I couldn't sit down. I was just standing there, and as they all just came in, I just keep pulling my trousers down and showing them this burn. The doctor came in and explained the different types of degrees of burns, which, I mean, I'd never really thought about or thought of the categories of burns and stuff before, because I never knew of anyone that was seriously burnt. So yeah, he was like 1st degree, 2nd degree, 3rd degree, and then explained the different types in 3rd degrees, being like steamer at the top. So he, you know, I remember him making a joke about how I did a really good job of getting burnt, because I obviously got burned really badly. So I was like, oh, thanks, just what I want to hear. So yeah, got into the burns unit. I passed out because I was in so much pain. My body just couldn't function and I just passed out. Then yeah, I was woke up again, and they went through explaining the surgery to me, the skin graft, and how to take skin from one section of your body and, you know, transfer it to the wounded area, and like what that area then is called, where they've taken the skin, and how you recover that. And you know, they went through all the stuff I'm sure you know about. So yeah, I woke up. It was very scary. It was emergency surgery, so it was like very early in the morning, 7 a.m. or something. So they woke me up at like 6 to get ready. And by get ready, I just mean they woke me up. I got to call my mom, and then I got brought down. The surgery lasted about 6 hours, and I was just really out of it when I came out, when I woke up, and very out of it. I remember someone asking me, like, I think it was like my brother or something, asking me how I felt after the surgery, and I was like, I remember the comparison I made yesterday felt like a grazed knee in comparison to today. So there was a lot of pain after the surgery. I was bedridden, could not move, had to use a bedpan to go toilet if I needed to go. like any visits I had, I couldn't. But yeah, for the first week, I don't think I left the room for any visits. Any people came to me, but obviously my sister wanted to visit me and she was too young, so I got wheelchaired out to see, you know, some of my family. And in hospital life was just, it was hard to adjust because everyone around me was so much older. All the nurses were obviously older. There was no kids. Everyone in the burns unit was in their 30s and up. So I was the only like actual kid. I was 16. They didn't make any type of exception on the, you know, visiting hours. I saw my parents for 2 hours, like the afternoon and evening. It was an hour on each one. It was difficult. I was 16, I was a kid. I just wanted my mom there with me to like help me get through this. I was in so much pain. I was crying every day. I wasn't sleeping at night because I was just in too much pain to sleep. I was on like 11 tablets 3 times a day, just for a million different things, you know. And it was hard because I'm watching everyone else get on with life normally. I was 6 days into summer when this happened, so everyone else is getting on with their life and I'm like on Snapchat looking, and they're all, you know, we're 16, everyone is getting a bit more independent and watching everyone go out and have fun, and I like will lock my phone and I look around and I'm in a hospital room and it's like, this is just, what did I do to deserve this? It was hard to adjust to, you know. My new routine became like breakfast, wash what I could. When I finally got to have a shower, you lose all dignity in hospital. When you finally got to have a shower, the nurse wheeled me into the shower and showered me in a wheel, like I wheeled in a wheelchair, showered me, and like there's no dignity anymore, you know. Then I get like injections, physio, try sleep for a bit after the physio because I'm just so worn out, tablets, practice walking, then like just the routine is just not a normal routine that I would, you know, do. I didn't get to do the whole sleep in late and go out and have fun and go to parties and whatnot. It just wasn't, that was obviously just hard just to adjust to my new life, really. And at the same time not accepting that this was my new life. So then getting out of hospital, I could not wait for that day. I kept looking forward to it. I kept asking. I got out a little earlier than I was meant to because I just kept asking every time my surgeon came to visit, please, can I go? And you said if I did this I could go, and you said this looked like this I could go, and eventually he let me go. It was like after 3 weeks. I wasn't meant to leave for another while, but I got out. And I think a lot of people will relate to, you think things will change when you get home. You know, that, not that like obviously you're only going to feel pain in hospital, but you think that once you get out of hospital, it's kind of, that's when things go uphill and everything's fine, and it's not. That's kind of another hard adjustment. You get home and you realise that things aren't suddenly better. They're not going to suddenly get better because you're out of the hospital. I still had to go to hospital appointments every 2 weeks. I had to go to the clinic every 2 days for my dressing changes. I still couldn't walk. I still couldn't do normal things. I went to the shop one of the days in July to get my mum a birthday present. She left us for 10 minutes while me and my sister went into a shop. She came back and I thought I was going to pass out. She thought I was going to pass out. It was just too much. Like, I couldn't even do that. You kind of have to navigate this whole new life that you're doing because you want to get on with life, you know. And I'm like, oh yeah, I can go do all the things my friends are doing now. Great. And I can't. The most I could do was like my friends coming over and we'd sit and watch TV, or I'd practice walking, and it's not easy, and getting out is not as straightforward as people think. I think anyway. They try to let me know, like, you know, it's not going to be easy at home, because my mom then became like my nurse with like keeping track of all the tablets I still had to take, you know, those like, I don't even know how many tablets I took a day, but she had to keep track of them and make sure I was eating whichever ones were before meals and what was like a half an hour after meals, and what certain foods I had to eat, which I can get into in advice in the next in the next video, but there were certain foods like they recommended eating for healing and stuff. And then I started getting infections. They noticed in my dressing changes in the clinic, they started noticing these infections, so they were trying different creams and things like that, and it just wasn't working, and they were trying different treatments, and it wasn't working. Basically went back to the hospital on my usual appointment, and the nurse called a surgeon in to have a look, because I'd see him anyway, but he came in quicker, and he had a look, and he was like, yeah, so I think we're gonna have to do another surgery. Basically, she'd seen what creams the nurse had seen what creams they'd already tried, and the surgeon had a look, and he was like, well, they're the ones that we would have tried, so another surgery. And I was like, nope, no, not a chance, not happening. I was very like, no. My mom was beside me being like, Kira, like, think about this. And I was like, no. She's like, they're recommending it. No. I was like, straight no. Like, there was no arguing with me. No. So then the surgeon left, and the nurse overheard me and my mom talking. I was like, I'm not doing the staples again, not happening. And she was like, it's the staples you were worried about? I was like, yeah, like, I can't go through that again. I just can't. She was like, well, it's a smaller area, so they can do dissolvable stitches instead. And I was like, really? And they were like, yeah, if that's all you were concerned about, yeah, they can change that. So they got the surgeon back, and we talked through it, and he said, yeah, we can do dissolvable stitches because it's a smaller area. So I was like, oh, okay, right. And he was like, you're not the first person. Like, the staples have traumatized a lot of people. They obviously have to do staples when it's a bigger area because the dissolvable stitches aren't strong enough. So I was happy once I was not getting the staples. Obviously, playing on my mind as well was the fact I didn't want to go back to square one in recovery and walking, and although like I wasn't anywhere near recovered at all at this point, I was still able to take a few steps, and I didn't want to go back to square one, so that was on my mind as well. But staples was my main thing. This happened 6 days before I was meant to go back to school, so that was another blow to kind of my normalcy that just didn't exist anymore. This was Tuesday, and I went back into hospital on Friday, and the surgery was on Saturday. So everybody was like doing their last final things before school, and I was in a hospital again. So that was not fun. Yeah, so I got the second surgery right before when I was in the room where they do it, before they put the mask on me to, conk me out. I kept saying no staples, no staples, no staples. I just kept repeating it, and the nurses were like, we'll tell them, don't worry. I was like, no staples, right till I passed out. They thought it was kind of funny, but I was like, that's how traumatized I was. Like, I can't, if that doesn't show, I don't know what does. Like, until the very last moment of me knocking out, I kept saying no staples, tell them no staples, tell them no staples. So yeah, they did dissolvable stitches, happy out, and then another setback happened. This is what's so hard with recovering from burns. There's probably more setbacks than there is good news, and it's very hard to stay optimistic and positive in these situations when you keep getting bad news and you keep getting setbacks. So you would think we got the surgery, happy, recovery now. No, they realized after they did the surgery, from some tester, I can't even remember, some test they did or whatever it was. Anyway, it was the day after they did the surgery, the Sunday. They came and told me that I had MRSA, and that's what the infection was, and that's why the infection wouldn't go away no matter what creams and treatments they were trying. So it also wasn't good then that infection was underneath this new skin now. So that wasn't great news. I then had to go on a drip of antibiotics for I think it was like 2 or 3 days straight. I had to go on a drip, and it made me very sick. So during this time, I was obviously in a lot of pain again. Not now knowing, adding this MRSA to the mix, it was another kind of kick to the gut, really. It was just the last thing I needed. And yeah, so they did this then for a few days, and it made me really, really sick. I just very nauseous. I was very weak, nauseous. I couldn't like, I was just so sick. I couldn't do anything. They had to get different doctors down to see me because I kept like nearly vomiting. I say nearly vomiting because they gave me anti-nausea tablets as well, so I wouldn't actually throw up any of the tablets I had to take for the other reasons. So I was so, if you can imagine it, being like so like vomiting bugs sick, like really sick, and I could not throw up, so I wasn't getting relieved of that feeling. I was crying in pain. I was so weak. I was just a shell. Like, I was like a skeleton on the bed. My mom was just like, they finally let her in when all this started happening, because I was just too much to deal with. Like, it was the pain, not being able to move from the pain, but also being so weak from the MRSA and everything they pumped me with and the tablets. So I mean, and again, I didn't look at my phone for days. That just shows you how sick I was. I couldn't look at my phone. I could not sleep. That was probably the worst time in hospital throughout the whole thing. Dealing with the MRSA and dealing with the burn, it was just so much. I was crying so much. I could not deal. I just wanted to go home. It was horrible. It was so horrible. I couldn't eat. It was just really bad time. And at this time, everyone was back in school at this point, which was just strange, knowing everyone was, you know, getting on with life, and this was me. This was my reality. So I was missing school. I was getting emails from teachers as if like I could not do the work. Like, I had too much to deal with. I couldn't do the work. So yeah, no work was obviously done while I was out of school, but they were keeping me in the loop of what chapters they were on and stuff. And this is like, again, like, I still had the dressing changes every second day. Like, I wasn't able to be in school. They had to make sure I was recovered enough and back. I had to regain obviously my strength again after that. So there was definitely another weight of me going back to school, and every appointment we went to after that was my mom being like, so when can she go back to school? And I understand her push for me to get back into school so I didn't miss too much, but like, the last thing on my mind was school, to be honest. You know, we eventually, I did go back to school 2 months later or something, and met up with my year head and obviously filled her in on what the situation was. She kind of knew, but I don't think she knew in depth, like properly, that like I couldn't sit and I couldn't do all this, because I had to get a letter from her that day to give to all my teachers being like, yeah, so she can't sit, she's gonna have a cushion in class. Even though, I mean, if I can't sit, a cushion's not gonna fucking help. But it relieved, like, I had the cushion only on my left side, so my leg was elevated so I wouldn't be putting the pressure on the chair. So yeah, that was fun. So then when I instantly went back to school, that started making me weak again, because it was just wearing me out, where actually sitting in class for 40 minutes trying to pay attention, trying to ignore the pain, trying to keep up and the stuff I missed and what we're doing now, and it was all a lot. So I was trying to do that. That was just hard. So then I had that period where it was just school focused, where I was trying to catch up on school, keep up what we were doing while also catching up, and trying to increase the amount of classes I was going to each day, which was hard. Obviously, I started with 1 a day, then did 2 a day, then maybe did a full morning and didn't go the afternoon, or did a full afternoon, didn't go the morning. Little things like that, trying to get back to normal was really what was difficult. Leading on from then, the burn, I had other repercussions. My stomach problems, where do we even begin with them? That's something I still deal with to this day. After they pumped me with those antibiotics for the MRSA, I started having a lot of stomach problems where I couldn't keep food down. I could not eat any. Well, at the beginning there were certain things, and I could keep track of the list of what it was that I could not eat, that wouldn't stay down. And then slowly but surely that list became so long, and it eventually just became like every meal I had I could not keep down, which was obviously a problem. So we had to start going on a load of different tablets like probiotics, and then going on this other stuff, and then getting referred to what are they called, a gastroenterologist, yeah. And then getting put on a load of different tablets from them, like try this and try this and try this, until, and each tablet I try would work for like a month, and then I'd be back and the tablet wouldn't work anymore. So I'd have to keep getting on a load of different tablets. And then I was on these other tablets recently that I'd have to take a half an hour before eating every time I was eating. That was meant to like help the lining of my stomach and whatnot. And we all thought, the doctors all thought it was down to the damage that had done to my stomach, the MRSA and every the stuff I took for it, and all the tablets I'd taken as well throughout the whole burn time. So that was a lot, and that's only kind of been recovered since it's March, April now. It's since literally January, the start of January, this only started being dealt with. I had a few tests, and they think they figured it out when antibiotics for it. I know I still have a few more tests to do, but with what's going on in the world right now, they've been cancelled until, we're all safe to go out again. So fingers crossed we're getting that finally sorted out, because I feel a lot better in myself and in kind of that kind of health section that has really held me back for the past few years. As well as that, another thing I've had to deal with from it is PTSD. I started having really bad anxiety when I was going, the first time I had a panic attack was going to college in first year. I started having a panic attack on the train. Didn't think much of it, just okay, my anxiety's getting real bad. Okay, I nearly dropped out of college from it. Irrelevant in this story, but yeah, I nearly dropped out of college from it. I continued having panic attacks. Well, I got through that. To start of first year, it was kind of like an episodic thing in the like first few months of first year. Literally nearly didn't go to my Debs because I was having panic attacks so much. And then it happened again to start of second year in college. That whole few months, didn't go to work then as well. So then I spread into work, where I was having panic attacks going to work, going to college, whatever it was. We went to my doctor, and panic attacks were getting so bad. So we were talking about them, and my GP, he told me he's not surprised at what's happening. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, well, have you ever heard of post-traumatic stress disorder? And I was like, yeah, I've heard of it. And he was like, yeah, well, I think that's what you're experiencing from your burn. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, the whole burn incident, basically. So he referred me to a therapist who I went to, and I thought it was a load of shite in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie. I remember the first like 2 or 3 sessions, I was like, Mom, are you seriously making me do this? This is stupid. But just like everyone kept telling me to keep an open mind, and I did keep an open mind going into it, and we kind of broke down walls like, yeah. I did have PTSD, I still do. I realised from the therapy sessions I never dealt with the burn properly, really. Obviously it's a lot to process at such a young age, or any age for that matter. It's so much to deal with. It's the pain is like, just, it takes over your body. Like you can't, like your brain just doesn't, they just don't link up. You're just in, it's so hard to explain. Like your brain can't keep up with the pain that your body's experiencing. So it's very hard to process things in your brain when your body's just taking up all the energy of thinking or like anything. So I never dealt with it, basically, is what we figured out. And I kind of started dealing with it in there with her, and we kind of figured out like links to why my anxiety was so bad. Like I was having panic attacks in situations that I felt trapped. And I felt trapped in my own body when I had the burn, because I could not do anything. I felt trapped in my own body, and I was feeling trapped in these situations, and it was the trapment that was causing my anxiety, really. And yeah, she taught me some things and how to kind of deal and process, and we discussed the whole experience and the different parts that I wouldn't have processed, as she was saying I would have focused so long for a period on physical recovery and then went straight into academically, you know, recovering from what I missed, as well as physically recovering at the same time. There, I never had that section where I processed emotionally and mentally what I actually have gone through, what I've experienced. That, as she said, like normal 17-year-olds, that's not something that they have to go through. So it was a lot, and it's something I had to process. So that's another thing that's come out of this, you know. And a lot of burn victims, I've found out now from doing research, a lot of burn victims deal with PTSD because it's a very traumatic thing we go through, and it changes the way you view everything. Your brain, what I learned, and which I found really cool actually, was that my brain freaks out and like obviously has the anxiety in particular situations, because what happened to me, the accident with the burn, happened in a seemingly normal situation. I should have been safe in that room, and I wasn't. Something crazy happened that changed my life. So now in normal situations, my brain freaks out because it's afraid, it's on guard, that it's getting ready for something to happen, which I think is cool, but obviously it's a bit messed up. And then the last thing, obviously, that I've had to deal with from all of this is scars. That's something everybody kind of deals with differently. You know, the guy I found who reached out to me about he got tattoos over his arm where he had the 3rd-degree burns. Mine is on the back of my leg. If I can ever think of a tattoo to get over that, I will. I mean, I obviously have a tattoo and I'm getting more tattoos, so I'm not against them, but everyone deals with the scars in their own way. As I've been reminded, like, I could have had a scar in a more prominent position, like could be on my face, my neck, whatever. So it's not too often I have to deal with the stares, but it doesn't make it easier. It's still something I deal with, like when I go away in the summer and everyone's staring at my leg, and kids, obviously being kids, but they're staring and pointing, and like I obviously can hear them going, look at her, look, and it's not a nice feeling, because you're being reminded that it's there. Obviously I always know it's there, and there's always that sensitivity. Like when I sit down, it's a weird feeling, like I can feel it. When I'm in the gym, I can 100% feel that my left leg is weaker than my right, you know, or my left knee, because of all the time that I wasn't, you know, moving it at all. It was in one position. My left knee is definitely weaker. Scars are just something you have to deal with. For me, I look at it as a battle scar. Like, that scar shows I went through so much. I witnessed that scar go from, you know, this to looking like this. Now it looks like that. I witnessed that change. I went through so much for that change. So obviously it takes a lot to become comfortable with the scar. But it's a part of you. It's a battle scar. It's something that you should be proud of, and it tells a story. It tells your story. So really, that's my story. What happened, the different parts of it, you know, the repercussions of it. Burns really have a lasting effect, and I wanted to share my story. So I hope that if you're dealing with that right now, you can see that all those setbacks I had, I still got through the other side. I'm sitting here right now bending my bad leg. Can go for a run. Obviously it's not as comfortable as it used to be, and it won't be, and I've accepted that. But I've come to a place of acceptance. Acceptance, if that's even a word. I've come to a place where I am proud of what I've overcome. I'm proud of the mental aspect I've overcome. How I caught up in school when I had teachers telling me that they think I'm going to fail because I've missed too much. I've caught up physically when I put myself through that much horror and pain. I hated it, and I took frustration out on so many people, but I got there and I've got here now, and it's thanks to obviously the people that pushed me, but I made myself do it, you know. And you have that to look forward to. You will get to the other end of this. It takes time. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's possible. Everyone that has experienced this has come out the other side a better, stronger person, more resilient for sure, 100% more resilient. You can do this. And I think burn victims, we are special. We have got through something that is considered it's considered one of the worst injuries you can get, and you've got through it. You will get through it. I know you will. So yeah, that's my story. You're not alone in this. It can be scary, and you can feel lonely and isolated, but at least now you have one extra person on your side, and I'm here for any questions, any advice, anything you need. So yeah, my story, that's it. Next video I will share some tips, advice, to the best of my ability on how to get through that difficult time. Thanks guys.